what should they be eating and drinking, hydrating before, during, and after a game?
Before and during is going to look very similar. Their food should be mostly simple carbohydrates, some protein, keep the fiber low, and then don't add anything new into your diet. Like, don't go off and say, I'm going to try this for the first time and I have a game in an hour and a half.
Welcome to the FC Game Changer Show, and today, as you guys can tell, I'm extremely excited because it is the first episode ever of the show. And to kick this off, as the first guest ever, we're here with Katelyn Partridge. Katelyn is a former college soccer player. She's a CrossFit coach and a nutrition and lifestyle coach. And welcome to the show, KP.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
KP, so I just opened this show up with, announcing and telling everyone that you are a former college soccer player. Let's take us back a little bit more towards your high school career. Did you play any sports in high school?
Yeah, I played soccer all throughout high school. I started playing soccer when I was 6 years old. I did not play any other sports in high school, just soccer. Let's
go towards the nutrition and the actual reason that you got into it. I want to know, and I want people to know as well, the why, how, and what about nutrition in yourself. Why is it important? How did you get into it? And could you share a little bit with us?
Yeah. So I started nutrition coaching once I had gotten into CrossFit training, mostly because I was ready to take my fitness more seriously. And the only way that I was able to do that was to start eating better. Being a type 1 diabetic, it was pretty much a given for me that I needed to eat better than I was eating to be able to perform and uphold whatever I was trying to accomplish. So I got into nutrition coaching. After I had experienced having my own nutrition coach for a little bit, I was like, I could do this. I think I can help people change their lives. And so I went and got my nutrition certification and decided that I was going to start nutrition coaching, and the rest is history. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said changing your life with nutrition, but also people's lives as well. And nutrition really does change someone's lives. It's not just, an athlete or in specific a soccer player or even an average person. How many athletes have you coached, nutrition coached throughout your years in the nutrition field?
Yeah, so to me, an athlete is somebody that's proficient in sport or exercise, whatever form of exercise that is for that person. And I would say that majority of my clients fall underneath that category.
Got it. So you're saying that it doesn't matter if a person has any type of activity as an exercise form in their lives, you count them as an athlete?
Yes.
Got it. That's interesting.
Outside of that, I have worked with people that run track and field. I've, believe it or not worked with a single soccer player as it stands right now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
When I graduated from college, I actually took a break from soccer for a little bit, and my time away from soccer, there was a little bit of a disconnect from myself and the local soccer community. So I just haven't really dived back into it since I stepped away.
Okay, let's say if tomorrow, because of this interview, you're going to get thousands of calls from local soccer players. Would you be ready to help them change their lives, change their game to better themselves?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm 100% confident in doing so, for sure. Yeah.
How has your soccer career impacted how you work with athletes now?
As an athlete myself, how I work with athletes has been impacted in the sense that I know when to give tough love to an athlete and when to back off and be more gentle. When it comes to the coaching side of things, it's really hard to pick one thing that I've learned in my career from my coaches that I'm able to translate as a coach, just because I've learned something from every coach that I've ever had in my soccer career and my CrossFit career. And, you know, I want to make sure that I give my athletes the things that I was given as a player, which are things like resiliency and toughness, patience, guidance, love, all of the things that an athlete needs through their journey.
How important is that relationship, a coach-athlete relationship, in order to help the athlete really maximize their, let's say, soccer abilities, whatever sports that they're in? How important is that to have that relationship with your athlete?
There are no words that do it justice how important it is. Being able to build trust with your coach, being able to rely on your coach, understand your coach, believe in your coach, the same way that you would want your coach to believe in you and trust you and support you. It's a two-way road. It's so important. If you're an athlete and you're going into a match and you feel like your coach doesn't have any confidence in you, it's just going to crush your soul. You're not going to perform as well as you can. It's all bad.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that, because some of the coaches that I've had throughout my career, I count some of them, the most important ones, as mentors, like for life. Like, even though I don't talk to them anymore, I don't communicate with them anymore, but to me, every time I remember them, the things that they've told me before the game, during the game, after the game, literally help me keep my head up, and you know, that truly helped. And I would say I've had most of my coaches, they were great people, and I love them until this day, for sure. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I can relate. I think for sure most of my coaches have been the most supportive and showed me the most guidance and taught me things about life and sport and athletes and coaches, and like most of them have been really, really good in that sense also.
What are some common trends amongst the athletes that you work with?
I would say most often athletes struggle with understanding how to recover or struggle with understanding how to work through an injury. Those are two really common trends I see. Another common trend with any athlete that comes to me is not knowing or understanding how to properly fuel their body for whatever they're trying to endure. So.
Yeah, since you mentioned about the injury, what are things that, I'm going to say soccer players, but in overall athletes can do to reduce the chances of getting injured?
Eat. I would say, prioritize your nutrition, prioritize protein. There are so many moving components to nutrition when it comes to recovery and, making sure that your body can come back from whatever you're putting it through. I would say prioritize protein at all times. There are, the amino acids that make up a complete protein also aid in muscle recovery. So.
Okay, and what would you say? Are people getting enough amount of proteins?
No.
On a daily basis?
No. More often than not, people come to me and they're maybe eating 50 to 60% of the amount of protein that they should be eating in a day. Yeah.
And would you say that an athlete, let's say if we compare an average person to an athlete, would the athlete need more protein on a daily basis than the average person, or is the protein something that's important for, like, it's an overall thing that people should be getting?
That's a great question. Protein is, as a whole, the most important macronutrient by far. necessity, you need it. As far as a soccer player or an athlete getting more protein than just somebody that's not necessarily an athlete or doing extreme exercise or exercise of any fashion, I would say yes. It really depends on the person. Okay. Yeah, and like, what is that person's goal? What does their life look like outside of whatever they're doing? How active are they? How much are they training? I'm sure we're going to get into some more nutrition questions. So.
Right. And now that you mentioned eat, you said that was the first thing you said, eat. Because that is something that throughout my career, I knew that I needed to eat, but I didn't know how much of the macronutrients I needed to eat. So I basically just closed my eyes and ate, right? So the main goal is to basically, educate high schoolers, athletes, right? College athletes, all the way to the semi-pro, pro level, like ways to, maximize their game, improve their game, change their game through nutrition. And it's like one of those things that, I wish I knew what I know nowadays back then. It's like that. It kind of hurts me, but that's the main goal of the FC Game Changer, is to pretty much, tell the young athletes, hey, do this, that be sure that if you follow this blueprint here, you're going to be a lot better than you already are. Because some soccer players, some athletes, they're already good. But if they stepped up the game on nutrition, hydration, sleep, right, they could be so much better, so much better.
It's funny you say, if you knew back then what you know now, I'm in the same boat.
Isn't it?
All these kids have all these resources right at their fingertips. So take them, eat them up.
Yeah, it's fun. And I hope we're going to be able to, distribute the content and reach as many athletes, especially soccer players, as possible, so they can skip that, experience phase, so they don't get, at our age and they're like, oh, I wish I knew this back then. Goddamn. How do you use food to optimize recovery then? You mentioned eat, right? Let's break it down a little bit more into like using food to optimize recovery.
It really comes down to just making sure you're eating enough. So a lot of times people will come to me no matter what level of athlete they are or are not, and they're not eating enough food. So if you're not under eating, your body is more than likely underperforming, under recovering. Making sure that you're getting enough food is gonna be really important. And like I said, that's a broad statement because it's really person dependent to understand how much food somebody should be eating. There are ways to like look up how many calories somebody should be eating, but it really depends on that person specifically.
Seeking for help with a nutritionist would be a good thing to do?
I'd say yeah, for sure, yeah. I mean, just getting a good balance of like how much protein, how many carbs, how many fats, and then understanding what each of those macronutrients do individually for your body would be really, really important. Yeah.
Let's pretend that you have a soccer player that you're working with right now. Okay. When it comes to macronutrients, let's break it down a little bit further for this athlete, this soccer player that you're working with, right? What should they be eating and drinking, hydrating before, during, and after a game?
Before and during is going to look very similar. Their food should be mostly simple carbohydrates, some protein. You want to try to keep the fiber low, and then don't add anything new into your diet. Like, don't go off and say, I'm going to try this for the first time and I have a game in an hour and a half, because you have no idea how your body is going to respond to that. After a game, a full meal, a full caloric dense meal is the best option. As far as hydration goes, all the water that you can get and electrolytes. Okay.
And you mentioned simple carbohydrates, right? And you talked about protein, and you talked about, did we talk about fat?
No, generally you want your meal before a match to be lower in fat. So you're thinking about how long a match is. So generally a soccer match, 90 minutes. You are trying to make sure that you fuel yourself before and during to replenish all of those glycogen stores that your body is losing throughout that match. Simple carbohydrates will do that. So, simple sugar. You want sugar.
Could you mention a few simple carbohydrates that they could be eating? Maybe the protein as well. We eliminated fat because we don't want that before, during. Tell us what could be simple carbohydrates that they could be eating before and during, and the proteins as well.
Yeah. And to go back to fats, some fat is fine. You just don't want to have an excessive amount before you go into something like that, because it's going to slow down the way that everything else processes in your body. Yeah. Simple carbs, you want like fruit snacks, applesauce. You can get like those little squeeze pouches, something that is just going to be quick, straight to the point. If you're going to have a meal, like a smaller meal prior to a match or something, I'd say like toast with a little bit of peanut butter, some jelly. You could have a PB&J sandwich, meals type of thing. You could do some protein like chicken, small amount of chicken with some sweet potatoes, something of that sort.
Something easy for them.
Something easy that's going to digest relatively
Quick.
easy in your body. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take some notes on that, because yeah, we're playing right now City League, and actually next week is the last game of the season, and it's been fun because we haven't lost this season.
Wow.
And we pretty much won the league already without playing the last game of the season.
So this is going to be fun.
So this is going to be fun. The last
Yeah.
game was just going to be for us to have fun against the team we're playing against. But this season has been, we have a great team. It's been a lot of fun. But I'll take notes during the final, before the game. I'll be eating some of the stuff that you're talking about right now.
Report back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A
And I hope I can
banana.
score freaking 15 goals and say, that's the reason why I scored 15 goals.
It will be.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you broke that down related to a game. And now for the off season, athletes get focused during the season, and then there is that, right? So off season, should I just go, ham, don't care about what I'm eating, or they could be doing something during the off season that could get them prepared to the next season, the upcoming season? Is there something that they could be doing, planning?
During the off season, it really just comes down to how much training is taking place. The only thing that may change is the caloric intake, so how much food somebody's eating. If you're, during your on season, you're having one game a week, but you're also practicing 5 to 6 days a week, or strength training on those days, your need for calories is going to be much higher than during the off season if you're only practicing 3 days a week and you don't have any games during that week.
So that relates to the amount of activity. So you're going to eat depending on the amount of activity that you're performing.
Yep.
So you pretty much just answered the next 2 or 3 questions that we had, because we broke it down into off-season, and then we did pre-season, and then during the season. So
Preseason is also a little bit different, because during preseason you generally have double days, you're training multiple times a day. Your need for calories is way higher, but also you want to carb up. You want to eat as many carbs as you can. Yes, carbs are your best friend in the whole world. Yeah.
this is so interesting, because the carb situation, when you try to study, because that's the way I am, right? I try to research anything related to nutrition because I'm always trying to optimize. But then you have, certain people that they say carbs are the worst thing that you can eat, right? And then they break it down into sources of carbohydrates. And then other people are more towards the fat. No, don't eat fat. The protein is what everyone talks about, how important that is. But what do you think when it comes to that kind of war against fat, high fat, low carb, high carb, low fat? How do you deal with that?
Carb is not the enemy. And I also just try really hard to understand and accept that there is so much information and misinformation out there. It's so person specific. There is no one diet or one nutrition plan fits all. It is so person specific.
Yeah.
Figuring out what works best for you and what you do and how you feel when you eat this way or that way. And, we're trying to optimize how you feel.
It's very
Yes.
personalized.
Mm-hmm. Very
Yeah.
personalized.
It's interesting that you're saying that. My wife and I, Kristen, we took the DNA test.
Oh gosh.
Just to see, because we're doing the research. We want to optimize. And we found things on that test when we got the results that that made us pay attention to how personalized nutrition is for each individual. According to my report, my results, I do well with a high fat or a high carbohydrate diet. On her report and results, they were saying that she doesn't do well with a high fat diet. So then, for you to go in and listen to just one person and kind of go with what that person is telling you without doing more research, I think it could be dangerous, because maybe some, soccer players, athletes could be doing some things related to nutrition that's not what's best for them. So that's my fear with that.
Legit fear.
During the season, you mentioned preseason carbohydrates, your best friend. During the season, do we reduce the amount of carbohydrates, or depending on the amount of games, practices, strength training, how does that work?
Depending on the amount of games, amount of practices, and amount of strength training is what would determine what your food should look like during season.
Okay, now we're gonna go a little bit away from the nutrition.
Okay.
We'll go into a little bit more towards the, I would say, mindset and the coaching side of things, because, you and I were former, soccer players. And there's also that struggle when we're not playing, we're sitting on the bench, we're not performing well, and letting the game, affect us, and letting the game affect the athletes. What do you tell the athletes who are struggling with those things?
Being an athlete is so much mindset that it's really hard for an athlete to understand how to accept the process without being coached through how to accept the process. So I think helping your player or your athlete or your client, whatever that person is for you, understand the how, the why, that they feel the way that they feel, and then being able to provide coaching for them to guide them through getting better and improving, and how do we come out the other side of this.
Now, what happens when the athletes, the soccer player, is dealing with an injury? It's a nagging injury. They've tried everything that they could, and it's not going away. But maybe they don't know about the nutrition. They're not optimizing their nutrition. What can you do? What can we do to help them to stay mentally strong during that?
So again, it goes back to being as strong as you can in your mindset, but also being able to coach your athlete through understanding that it's a process, accepting the process, and trying to enjoy the process. How do we do that when you're dealing with an injury? Taking a step back and trying to walk your athlete through the points of how much stronger and better they're going to come out on the other side of this injury. More often than not, people think that they're going to backtrack and they're going to lose all their progress, and they're going to come back and, this person or that person's going to be better than me or faster than me, or I lost my starting position. But realizing that if you start working from the foundations and building up throughout your injury, you're going to be stronger when you come out the other side, whether that's physically stronger, emotionally stronger, mentally stronger. Like, you are going to be stronger when you come out the other side of that injury.
And I think that goes back to that coach and athlete relationship as well. Having a person to kind of guide you through, I think it's super important. Have you gotten hurt during your career?
Yeah, I was actually just going to go there. I was going to say, yeah, your relationship that you have with your coach, if and when you're dealing with an injury, is maybe more important than the relationship that you have with your coach when you're riding your high. A few of my injuries, happened in my younger soccer days. Dislocated kneecap, ripped my PCL, ended up needing knee surgery. Yeah, those injuries I was coached through okay. I think that it was a little early on, and most people didn't really know how to navigate an athlete with an injury at that time. When I was playing soccer in college, I did not have a relationship with my coach, I wouldn't even say a relationship with my coach where he understood. I would say I didn't have a coach that knew how to nurture and understand an athlete that was dealing with an injury, and it wrecked me. It wrecked me. It was one of the hardest things that I had to deal with in my college career. And then when I moved on to, CrossFit and weightlifting and more strength training, the coach that I have through that has helped me with every injury I've faced, whether it was related to weightlifting or soccer, and helped me navigate those injuries and understand, how to build from the ground up. So.
Did you have the same understanding about nutrition back then when you got injured?
When I had my knee injury, no. When I was in college, no. It wasn't until I found CrossFit and strength training that I knew what I know about nutrition.
Nice. So that goes back to I wish I knew.
I wish I knew back then what I know now, yeah.
Yeah.
My life would have been so much easier.
I know, that's why I listen to this. It's so important.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as well, because mine, I think it was purely nutrition, sleep, rest-based injury. It was, I was fatigued, and it was the fact as well that coming from Brazil to the United States, the way we play and train down there is completely different than what we do here.
Oh, yeah.
So coming from my home country to here, adapt to be able to play the way we do here, I'm not going to say that I did not do well. I did well, I think, but it was too much, too fast. And my nutrition wasn't there. My hydration was not there. My rest, sleep, not there at all. So knee gave up, blew up my ACL, meniscus. And what was crazy about that was, we get the news, coach tell me, I talked to the doctor after doing the MRI, and they said, yeah, you tore an ACL in your meniscus. And cried, right? Instantly, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to get back as fast as possible? And they said, hey, you need to see this doctor. So I go in and I trust this doctor. I get the surgery, did everything I could to come back. Right, still did not have the nutrition on point, but regardless, in terms of training, physio, get back to training. I was in the East Coast playing for my university, right, post-university. A shout out to you guys. Great school, great coaching staff. And I got a call from a coach here in Eugene, John Gallis. And it's a Lane United, a semi-pro team that we have here. So John Gallis, he approached me and he said, hey, come play with us. And I had just torn my ACL. And I'm like, hey, tore my ACL a few days ago, but I think by the time the season starts in Eugene, back then it was PDL, the league, I might be ready. He's like, you know what, just come. You're going to train with the team, and depending how you feel, we're going to get you in. And that's how I got introduced to Tensegrity physical therapy as well. I get here, training, not even doing too much. My knee blows up again. Meet Dr. Holrick. Once he finds out what the doctors did back east, they were just saying he shouldn't have done that. So long story short, that was what made me blow up my knee again. But if I had my nutrition, my hydration, my rest, sleep, every single, those things on point, I think the outcome could have been a lot better. So nowadays, knowing what I know, right, you're part of this because, you've taught me so much about nutrition. The reason why I weigh my food nowadays, every single gram, is because of you. You taught me that, right? That's basically what allows me to play nowadays. I'm still playing, I'm still strength training, and I feel super good. My knee doesn't even bother. So I really appreciate how much I've learned from you in terms of nutrition and also strength as well.
Yay.
We've trained together, and it's been literally game changer. Knowing, what to eat, when to eat, amounts to eat, micronutrients, and all of that stuff.
Yay. Yes.
Now going back to athletes and maybe the pre-game stress or anxiety that they could be having, what are things that we could tell them that could help reduce that?
The biggest thing that I would say to help alleviate stress, really of any sort as an athlete or a soccer player, is getting enough sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Value your sleep. Go to sleep early. Yes, it is so important and so vital to your overall health and just what you bring to the table every day. Man, it is very important.
We've been there. For us to tell a high schooler to go to bed early, especially with the iPhones, iPads, those are not bad things because they're actually using them in their favor, which is amazing. But they're not getting the amount of sleep that they need.
No.
So what can we do?
We have athletes at the gym that are teen athletes, and sometimes I talk with them and I ask, what time did you go to bed last night? And like, midnight or 2 a.m. And I'm like, what? I can't even tell you the last time I saw 2 a.m. on the clock. It's crazy. I mean, just really trying to educate them on the importance of sleep is huge. I mean, they're gonna be teenagers in that way, no matter what you tell them, but as long as they have the information, then they can do what they want with it,
Right, and the crazy thing is let's say they go to bed at 2.
Oh, gosh.
And they're waking up at
7?
7.
What?
So then you're like, you're not getting enough sleep. And then the next day they have to go to school, they have to do the homework, they have to go to training.
Oh, no.
Right? And it's like, and the nutrition is not there.
Yeah.
There's no
Those
ball.
are 2 of the major components, sleep and nutrition.
Listen to this, guys.
Yes.
Listen to this.
So 7 to 9 hours of sleep, ideally.
7 to 9?
Every night, yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about nutrition. We talked about a little bit about, mindset, going out towards the strength side of things, which is, without the nutrition, there's no strength. Without the strength, there's no nutrition, mindset, and all of those. Is strength training important for athletes and soccer players?
This goes back to if I knew back then what I know now. I'm like, wow, I wonder what my soccer career would have looked like if I knew back then what I know now. Strength training is so important. No matter what sport you play, strength training is so important. When you think about soccer, there are so many aspects of fitness that play into soccer. Coordination, strength, agility, endurance, did I say coordination? Flexibility. All of these things are huge when it comes to soccer. Power, speed, right? So being able to do strength training, even in a limited capacity, is going to benefit you long term. When you think about injuries in soccer, most injuries in soccer are non-contact injuries, and it's from the, planting your foot when you shoot, twisting, turning, side to side, changing directions. And so being able to do strength training to enable power over how you move your body is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I've talked to a lot of soccer players, young soccer players. They know the importance, but then some of them, they come up with excuses, right? I don't have a good coach. You know, my school doesn't have the equipment that I need, right? And like you said, you need a little bit of it and consistency with that.
Yep.
So when you talk to an athlete and they come up with, excuses because they haven't been strength training, what do you tell them? Do you just say, cut off the excuses, get to work? Or?
I mean, really helping that person find the resources that they need to be able to utilize strength training or understand why it's important would probably be my first step. Like, this is why you should do strength training in addition to whatever sport you play. This is how it could benefit you long term. And then allowing them to make the decision that they want to based off of the information they have at their hands. Mm-hmm. Same with like telling a teenager to go to sleep at 10 o'clock. It's like, here, this is why you should do this, and then you get to make your own decision.
Yeah, because that will definitely help them, because most of them, they do want to succeed.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just lost. They don't know how to.
Mm-hmm. And nowadays, like sports teams are incorporating some type of strength training, even if it's just once or twice a week. Mm-hmm. So that's a step in the right direction. Yeah. It's something. Yeah, it's something. Yeah.
And for those that say, I don't have equipment, my school does not have equipment, there are ways that they can do, right?
Yeah. Find a local, global gym. Like, go in, you could even use the machines and benefit some small fraction of strength training from something like that.
Now, this could be a tricky question.
Great.
You're gonna label the 3 pillars of the FC Game Changers, right? As 3 pillars of the project, we have mindset, strength, and nutrition. In your opinion, which of the 3 pillars come first, second, or third?
No pressure. My initial reaction is mindset, nutrition, strength. But I feel like they're all pretty equally as important. But you have to think, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, what has to happen first? Well, you have to have the right mindset to be able to, engage in proper nutrition habits. And then you have to have proper nutrition habits to be able to develop the strength that you need to excel. But tell me the answer. What am I?
No, there's no right answer here. Okay. I just wanted to see your point of view on the 3 pillars, because the reason why we have mindset, strength, and nutrition is because eventually we're going to have a pyramid. And the reason why, it's basically what you just said. Because we have mindset at the top, because top, right? But we have nutrition at last because it is the foundation.
That's true. That's very true. If you think about it as a pyramid, I would always say nutrition is the bottom.
Yeah, but you're spot on, because you didn't have the pyramid kind of mindset into the 3 pillars. But it's good. And that's going to be a question that I'm going to be, asking more guests to see where we're going to be going with this.
They're not allowed to listen to this before they get their chance. But going back to the pyramid, I would say, nutrition always is the foundation of whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It's since when my wife and I, we're desperately seeking to understand nutrition, right? We do the research, we go on Google, we go on YouTube, and it goes back to what I told you, black hole, And that's why we met you.
Yay!
Like, let's start this journey with KP, because she definitely knows what she's talking about. And that's what literally, it's not because you're here. It changed our lives completely, not just myself as an athlete. I count Kristen, my wife, as an athlete as well, because she's spot on, works out, nutrition on point, hydration on point, sleep on point.
She's an athlete.
She's an athlete, right? And after we started paying attention to nutrition, the strengthening was already there. But after we implemented nutrition, life changed. Sleep changed.
I love this.
It's insane. I'm not, again, it's not because you're here.
You're not just fluffing my feathers.
Yeah, no, because you definitely did. I'm 100% sure I'm still able to play at an okay level, city league level. It's not the best level, but it is a level. Yeah. Still playing every week. Sometimes I'm playing city league and Latino league, 2 games a week, right? Strength training, and I feel great. Yeah. And I know exactly what to eat, when to eat, the carbohydrates that I should be eating now instead of.
I love this. This is music to my ears.
Yeah, it's crazy how much
I love
it changed our lives. And the crazy thing is, with the kids, right? You're now planning on having kids, and then we already know the foundation that we should lay to the kids as well. So this is much more than life changing. Yes. It's amazing.
I love this.
Thank you for that.
Oh my gosh, please.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now this question is actually an interesting one because I think it goes back to I wish I knew what I know now back then. Yeah. Right. If you could go back and give your college athlete self one piece of advice, what would that be?
So I actually did a poll on my Instagram asking my followers what they would tell their college self, their college athlete self, and the answers I got were great, for sure. They were
share them with us. Share them with us.
Play for you, don't play for anybody else. Train more in the off season, which was a great
That's a good
answer.
one. That's a good one.
The one that I read, most recent, like shortly before this, was do the summer fitness, do the summer work. When you're a college athlete, you get the calendar with this is what you should be doing every day to prepare you for preseason.
But no one does it.
But nobody does it. They get it and they're like, oh, this is fine. But there's always those 2 or 3 people on the team that do it. And then they come into preseason and they just crush it. And everybody's like, well, that was embarrassing. Yeah. So that one was really funny to me because I can definitely relate. Gosh, some people said drink less alcohol, which I was very surprised by that one personally, just because I don't feel like during off season or during season was really an option. I feel like I had time, but what were some other answers? There were some really good ones. They were great. Mine personally, when I think about this question, I wish that I would have just spent more time trying to always be 1% better.
That's a great.
And no matter what it was, but as long as it pertained to my athletic career, I wish I would have always tried to be just a tiny bit better. Every training session I went into, I wish I would have just tried a little bit harder. I was very lucky and very fortunate. I was a good athlete. I was a really good soccer player. So there were days that I just went through the motions. And I think that eventually it caught up to me and kind of bit me in my butt a little bit, and I wish that I would have just always tried a little bit harder.
Yeah, that 1%. Yeah, that is great. Yeah.
But the off season, train during the off season, love it. Wish I would have done that a little bit more too.
And you can tell. The ones that come back for preseason, and they worked hard during the summer. You're like, okay, that one.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, full time.
Yep.
Yeah. You mentioned about one of the people that you just shared with us. They mentioned about, I wish I drank less alcohol, right? And that made me think about, high schoolers, not so much high schoolers, but college athletes. We don't want these people to quit their lives just to, focus on the sport. We need a balance of everything, right? What could you tell them, the athletes, that could also help, because I feel like some athletes, they just focus too much on being an athlete and forget about everything else. But also some others, they like too much to party. They don't sleep at all. They're always drinking.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that you see getting hurt the most. What can you tell them?
Yeah, when I think about that question, I think about asking your athlete to give you a list of what their priorities are, you know, like we all want to have fun in college. We all want to have fun in high school, but
And you can, right?
and you can. There's totally space for that. But if, you know, winning your conference is a big goal of yours or a priority for you, or, you know, you're a team player, like you're also contributing to the team as a whole, like how important is that to you? You know, list off your priorities, and then we get to decide how we want to balance that out. Like, how do we make that happen? You know, you can still have fun with your friends. You can still go out. You can still have a night every couple weeks or every month where you guys get to go out and party or do what you guys do. But are you prioritizing your fitness and your sleep? And so think of it more of like what you do more often matters more than what you do. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So consistency, like if you're consistently focusing on your soccer and your performance,
it's okay
to sometimes go out and have fun and drink and stay up late and do the things that you want to do.
Right. You just can't do too much of
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're consistently going out and drinking and not sleeping,
not training well,
you know, it's going to impact the latter, which is how you perform and how you play. And
you just made me think about that, because I had, you know, teammates, and including myself. I don't drink nowadays, but I did, you know, have fun back then, and I'm sure you did as well. But then I could see, you know, because I was a little bit older when I came to the United States, and I could see the ones that just focus too much on the party side of things and not so much on the training, on the actual goal to win the conference, like you mentioned. And then during training, it's kind of frustrating because you're giving everything that you have and they don't care as much.
Yeah, you're dragging weight, right? Like you're carrying people on the team that are not as invested or devoted to accomplishing, like you guys all have the same end goal, and if you have some people that are less inclined to reach that end goal, or they're prioritizing, you know, going out and having fun over that end goal, then you end up carrying that extra weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a team sport.
Yep.
Yeah. KP, now we're getting to the end, and I have another question for you. Tell us a game changer moment in your life.
In my life, as it pertains to being an athlete and all-encompassing with nutrition and all of the things, game changer moment for me was when I started CrossFit. Yep, when I started CrossFit and when I started strength training, changed my life.
And why?
When I graduated from college and I stopped playing college soccer, I wasn't as passionate about it. I kind of lost my love for soccer. My coach was the reason for it, which was really unfortunate. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was like, where do I go from here? Like, I'm done playing soccer. Like, once I graduated was when I actually was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go out and drink all the time. Like, I guess that's what I'll do now with my time.
But you didn't.
I just felt kind of lost. No, I did. I was definitely going out and like I was working more jobs than I needed, and like I was just running from place to place to place, and I was drinking and hanging out with friends, and I was lost. I was like,
that's how important the sport is.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess I'll like start running, and so I would go on like these crazy long runs, and like I thought that was gonna be like my savior. And I don't know, I just got to a point where I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I knew that the CrossFit community had also like ingrained a community team kind of feeling, and I was like yearning for that. I felt like I needed that. That's what was missing for me. And so I was like, I'll join CrossFit. I'm going to join this gym. And I joined, and the first couple of months, like, I was still kind of trying to figure out if that was where I wanted to be and if that was it for me. But when I started to like see some gains physically, I was like, this is exactly where I want to be. I feel better than I've ever felt. I'm stronger than I've ever been. Like during my soccer career, I was like, yeah, I'm strong, I'm fit. And then when I started to actually get strong and fit, I was like, this is a game changer. This is it. This is my thing.
And at that point as well, the nutrition, would you say, was already?
That was when I dove into nutrition. Yeah. That was when I was like, I'm doing everything I can as far as like what I think I know, and now I need to like seek other resources. And so I reached out to this performance nutrition company, and I got a nutrition coach, and she was great. I worked with her for, I don't know, I would say about a year. And within the same time period that I was working with her, I was like, you know what, I'm passionate about this. I could help people in this exact same way, and I want to change people's lives the way that my life has been changed. Because when I dialed in my nutrition is when things changed even more. Like I got stronger, I was more physically capable, like it was endless. It was great.
It literally feels like a new life.
Yeah.
When you pay attention to your nutrition, and then you have your exercise on point as well, then it goes back to, even like hydration, sleep.
Yeah.
You're a new person.
Totally.
Your energy levels, the way you wake up. You're not grumpy anymore. You just want to wake up. You want to live. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. I'm telling you. Pay attention to this. Take notes.
Do you have any more questions for me? Because I have some for you.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, but do you have any more for me?
I wasn't expecting that.
It's okay.
But okay. No, I don't. But I want you to tell us and everyone else where we are right now.
Oh, where we are right now. So we are actually at the gym that changed my life. So this is Intensify Strength and Fitness. This is where I coach. This is my home gym.
Is it just this location here?
So we have this location. This is West Intensify Strength and Fitness. And then we have another location in Springfield.
Oh, got it. 2 locations. Cool. Okay, so
my question for you.
Oh my, this is so scary.
So tell me how strength training has made soccer feel easier for you now. Like, we're older, so playing soccer feels different physically. Recovery feels different. So like, how has strength training played into that for you?
Huge. The tipping point was when I got injured. And doing the rehab and all of the things that I needed to do to get back, and then re-injured again, and to go through that process again, right? If I had an injury, 2 ACL surgeries, 2 meniscus, back-to-back, I realized that, if I had the 2 surgeries and they're telling me to do these exercises here, why? There's a reason why they're telling me to do the exercises. And I was like, I should be doing this full time. And once I started paying attention to how important the strength training is, I treat as rehab. I strength train 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a week when I'm off season from soccer. And that has improved speed, power. I change directions much easier nowadays, even though the body is getting old. Yep. Right? So sometimes it feels like someone is pulling you back, but there's no one back there. But because of the strengthening, I'm able to play. Yep. Like last pain, I can perform. It's actually funny because as you get older, your mind is sharp. And you try to do things, you tell your body from the mindset, you tell your body that you want to do certain things in the field, but the body won't respond. Right? So it's that fight.
That's a little slow to respond.
Yeah, it's like the mind is sharp and knows exactly what you should do, but the body is not quite there, kind of following what the mind is telling you to do. So I think because of the strengthening that I do, I'm able to, have that communication between my mind and body while I'm playing a lot easier. So, and the nutrition. The nutrition is the piece as well that allows me to strength train, recover faster, and be ready to play the game. So it's, again, I'm going to repeat that again. Nutrition, meeting you, understanding nutrition the way I know nowadays was a game changer moment.
That was going to be my next question.
I was like, yeah, exactly.
Tell me your game changer moment.
It was understanding, it was right, like for many years researching, trying to know what do I need, right? Not just to perform as an athlete and be as good as I can, but as a person. At some point I'm going to get old, I'm not going to be able to play anymore, but how can I still play soccer with my kids, my grandkids, right? And understanding that from you, game changer. That was that moment for not just for me, my wife's lives as well.
So cool, so cool. I love that so much. Okay, my last question for you. Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
What piece of advice would you tell your college athlete self?
Yeah, so that's a good one. Oh, and that's a hard one because I think it's going to go back to I wish what I know now back then. Yeah. I think I wasn't balanced enough, right? And there was a reason I left my country to come here to play soccer. Yeah, it was to play for a school, but your school was second. I went to school, did everything I could to get the good grades because I had a scholarship, so I had to keep that up as well. But that was secondary. I lived my life as an athlete. The advice I would give myself is to find balance when it comes to being an athlete, a person, having the relationships that we have in college and kind of be more rounded and not too focused in one thing. I think that would be that one.
I think that's a great answer.
Okay.
That's all I got for you.
Did I pass?
Yeah, you passed. Flying colors.
Sweet. Tell everyone, where can people find you?
So I am most active on Instagram. My handle is Nutrition with KP. That's my nutrition handle.
Extremely excited for this project, and again, you're the first guest ever on the show, and there's a reason for that. And I cannot wait to see, how many people we can reach with this message, with the conversation that we had here, and I really hope we can help so many athletes with what we talked about today. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited for you. I think this is going to be a really, really awesome project, and I am appreciative to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope to catch you soon. FC Game Changer, the football club that will change your game.